Hello everyone, I'm Isaac. Recently, I've received many scam coin reports, and unfortunately, including myself, I also got trapped in some of those. So today, I would like to go over what you should look for when you are looking for investment opportunities and how to avoid scams, basically. So let's start with the Dex Tool app. I believe many of you use this to check the hottest pair or the newest pairs here. So if you are looking at the hottest pair, that might be not bad, as it simply indicates you the volumes of these coins. And usually if it has super high volume, then you don't really need to worry about whether it's a scam or not. It might be a soft rock, but um, that might be better than what I'm going to tell you about. So if you are looking for the newest pair that got listed on Uniswap, it could be very dangerous, I have to say, because the majority of the coins that got listed are not legit. And what I mean is, you can simply see the pool variations, how many of those are minus 100%. Basically, they already unplugged the liquidity, and like without them doing so, how do you know they are going to do that, right? So the first thing I want to tell you is you can check the contract details. If it has no data, I almost never gonna invest in it because they didn't even bother verify the code on Etherscan. Or you might have to wait until they do so. And if it shows these icons, if it's gray out, that means DEX tools did not find those things presenting the code, but that doesn't mean they do not have those things. It's just either they really don't have or um, they hide it very well. Of course, text tools are not perfect, but it could be very helpful when they actually found it. So, for example, this one, you see that um, it'll tell you that they found out the owner can mint new tokens. Of course, the owner may have renounced, but that's a possibility. And this one, it tells you that the owner can set a higher fee, 100, for example. So I would definitely recommend you not to touch these coins because you can just get nothing, or yeah, you can get nothing when you sell or buy. And the middle two, this one, it says the owner can lock your transfers, which means you really shouldn't be touching these coins because they can just lock you whenever they want, right? If they see some newcomers join, they can just lock you and then you can never sell. And then the last one here, it says the contract is behind a policy. Well, this isn't necessarily bad, but it's hard to believe there is a need to uh, put their code behind a proxy. That just means either they don't want to be open source or they are hiding something suspicious. So yeah, the contract details will be the first thing you can look for even before you click to look their live data, right? And then the second thing you can look for is the liquidity. Of course, I started to realize they are not very informative because a lot of the scammers are actually using this information to trick you because they can just put a bunch of their funds in there and then just pour that out whenever they want. So it doesn't really say much. But if it's a lot, at least you know that it's not some random projects because they actually have some funds. All right, so what can we look for next? Well, you will probably click on those icons to check the left data. So I'm gonna show you 3 examples of scam coins and why I know they are scam coins. Of course, not because after I bought and then I realized I cannot sell, but there are some things to look for when you are checking these coins. So let's look at this one, Uranus. Of course, the initial price doesn't look like that. It looks like this now because they pull out most of the liquidities and someone just bought the remaining little bit of it, which make the price skyrocket, but you cannot sell these tokens. So you see the contract details, it doesn't have any warnings on the contract, but there's actually something presenting in their code to prevent anyone other than the owner to sell. So one thing you can look for, of course, is the DAX scores. If it's below 50, usually either it's too new or it just doesn't meet the requirement of alleged tokens, right? And if you look at the trades, if you see this icon, it indicates that it's the owner or the team of owners that are making this transaction. So you see that the owner first boosts the token by buying 2 ethers and then sells it when someone buys. This is super obvious, but some people may not know. They may not be looking at this at all, but if you actually look at it, you'll see that the owner are just taking profits when people buys it, right? And you see there's no other person ever sell this token, which will indicate you that it's not because they don't want to sell, it's because they simply can't sell. Of course, at the very beginning, you might not be able to observe this, but I would really suggest you to be extra careful when you see this icon. And I should say, be extra careful when you are looking at any new coins. Another thing you can look for is look at the social links. If there's no social links, it could mean, again, it's a very new token, or they didn't even bother create socials for their token. But you have to know that in order for social links to show up, they have to submit to Etherscan, which could take a week. It says 3 to 5 business days, but it could take longer. So it doesn't mean it's not legit. It just means they don't have social links available yet on here. And oftentimes, if some of the people already bought a token, you can click on the Etherscan link to check more details on the token, and you'll realize some people may have already discovered that you cannot sell the token. And if you actually are one of them, make sure you also comment it so that we can prevent more people from falling into honeypots or scam coins. Okay. And another thing is, I don't know why Etherscan does this. It's not obvious to find the code, but what you need to do is you change the address from token to address, and then you'll be able to see the contract. Of course, if they verified it on Etherscan. And verified just means the code they submit matches the code on blockchain. It doesn't mean it's legit. You have to do your own research. You have to audit the code yourself and check whether it does what it's supposed to do. So if we actually look at the code, so I have to say I'm not a pro Solidity programmer, even though I do know I don't have software engineering background. Basically, what you can do is, well, you can just quickly scroll through, look at anything suspicious. If you spend some time looking at some project, some ledger projects, you can compare their code with the new tokens code you are looking at. You'll see quite some differences. And here, I just found out that they have a suspicious function where they have a condition that checks whether you are an owner or you have a flag that tells you that you can sell. So this would indicate that not everyone can actually exchange their tokens. Only the owner or someone that they designated can do it. So I would definitely stay away from this token. But if the code is super long, you could also just try to search for keywords like owner, block, can sell, or anything you can think of that might prevent you from swapping back your token for other tokens. And it will likely tell you something about the legitimacy of their token. All right. Now let's look at another case. So this one is even more obvious, but it's not when it initially started. It simply tells you how much the team of the token sold. So it simply indicates that they are just taking profits on you. They didn't even try to hide it. Yeah. And again, you see this icon, they are just selling it. They just sell it at the top to take profits. And something interesting is you'll see that forum bot actually runs on this token and someone else actually managed to sell it. However, they are illusional because the bots can very well, and I believe it is the case that the bot is from the owners, and this person is also associated with the owners. Again, they can just unlock it for a specific person or bots. So looking at those doesn't really help. Bot can sell, but you can't, right? This person too. So you really have to be extra careful when you are looking at new tokens. And this one is also pretty obvious. If you see a bunch of buys, that can mean two things. One, no one has taken profit yet, which could be unlikely when the time span is getting larger and larger. Like it's 1 hour difference already, but no one actually sells. Because after observing quite a few new tokens, I'll see that many of them are impatient. They could sell when they have small profits. So if it's all buys, that could indicate that it's not because no one wants to sell, it's because they cannot sell. So you should stay away from these tokens. And yeah, and I'll show you what it looks like when you're trying to sell those tokens. You'll say on Uniswap, the input token cannot be transferred. There may be an issue with the input token, which means you are stuck. And sometimes you'll even see like the example I show you, you'll just say insufficient liquidity because they already pull out all of the liquidities, so you cannot even try to sell it. And if you do it on MetaMask, you'll just error out. It doesn't even, a lot of times you can even send the tokens to anyone else because it's just not designed for you to send it to anyone, including Uniswap. Yeah. And so I just want to tell you that I actually created my own tokens using a token generator for this purpose. And also, it's because there was a discussion on our Discord group where we were talking about creating our tokens for tip.cc bot, right? So that's why I created this. I'm not gonna advertising it, but I'm just letting you know. I actually went through the whole process of making a new coin, so I know some of the things I mentioned. And last thing I want to talk about is a brand new tool that I found. I wish I know earlier, and I want every one of you to know this. So this thing is called Safe Solidity, and they have a token called Safe Shield. Safe Shield. And basically what they do is they'll give you verification of the tokens, so you can paste the contract and it'll tell you details about it. They offer a shell scanner and it tells you about the contract, about the round trip fee, about holders, and about liquidities. So let's just give it a try. If you go to shell scanner and let's copy the scam coins contract, and you should see something interesting. They have a score of 0 and it tells you straight away it has high risk. If we click on the details, so the contract details will tell you about the contracts and functions. Sometimes it's not that obvious when you just look at the function names, so you will still need to go through the actual code to do it. But the first thing you do before you even think about buying any coins is paste their contracts here and check their details. Of course, for example, liquidity, when you paste a new token, that could just means they haven't initialized the pool yet. And in this case, the liquidity is not locked, which doesn't mean much. But if they do, then that could be better. And for holders, it tells you the distributions. Sell scans. So I think this one sometimes is the most important one because you want to know whether you can sell. And so in this case, it's because there's no liquidity, but there are cases where you just can never sell. There's no sell options. And the scammers will just remove liquidity when they collect enough funds. So yeah, I think this is actually super important, and I believe they will provide more and more details. This is still very new, and I forgot to show you about the tiering systems. So if you are using free tier, you can only see contract details. But if you are into crypto space, you should definitely try to get the first 2 tiers to get more details and analysis. And if you can afford it, buy 500 billion of safe shell tokens to gain full access. And this will be lifetime, so that's a lot better. And right now it costs less than 1 ETH. So I think this one will grow much, much bigger than what they currently have. And I'm really excited to see their safe swap, which will be a fork of Uniswap, and with a lot of safety stuff in there. And I would think this will take over the ecosystem of DeFi, because we just cannot investigate every single coin out there, and that's why we have this tool to do it automatically. Of course, with the combination of manual auditing. All right, I think that's all I want to talk about. I wish you good luck on your new investments, and I hope no one ever got trapped into scam coins or honeypots. And yeah, let me know if you want to learn more about anything, and I will try to make a video about it.